Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, The Movie Canon. We are live, so I am live here. I'm Giovanni, and there's a couple things going on with this new episode of the Met Report. So, the Met Report is a show about movies, entertainment, and television news. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to test something here. I want to make sure that the audio is working fine, and the image, the video, is not too laggy. From what I can tell here, it looks like it might be a little laggy, so I'll try something in just a bit here, but give me a moment here. Okay, so hold on a second. I'm just testing something out real quick here. Hold on a moment. We're about to start in just a bit. Just a second. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started now. So, welcome everyone to my YouTube channel, The Movie Canon. I am Giovanni, and this is the latest episode of the Met Report, a show about movies, entertainment, and television news. Uh, the camera, the image might be a little laggy. The camera that I'm using right now, the Canon, is a little laggy. I don't know if it's the internet connection or whatever, but it is doing that. But I'm still gonna go and move forward here. I do have another camera because I'm being joined by someone who hasn't been here in a while, for a few months, and it is Matthew. You can see him there in the little image.
Hello.
Although you're wearing like using a different chair, so you're like look shorter, but he used to wear like a taller chair. but Matthew has returned. So welcome, Matthew.
Yes. Hello.
And so when you were away, did you get a chance to watch anything, any movies, shows, or
Um,
anything like that?
I watched The Flash on my phone, and I watched Barbie in theaters right before I came back.
And did you like those too?
Um, I still don't know how I feel about The Flash, but I did enjoy Barbie a lot. Actually,
Okay.
it was very cool.
It was, you expected it to be not as good as what it actually was.
Yes.
And you watch it like later on, right? Like,
Yeah.
because it came out it's almost a month ago now.
I think I saw it exactly a week ago.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So, I mean, Barbie's still the top movie of the year so far. It'll probably remain that way. But yeah. So today, like I said, I'm being joined by Matthew. So he is back. So now for this new episode of the Met Report, there's a few things that I'm going to talk about here today. So for one of them is we're gonna briefly talk about AHSOKA, the series. So the series is coming on Wednesday, August 23rd. So it's coming up. So we're just gonna talk about it for a little bit, just some of the things that we would like to see or expecting to see. None of us have seen any episodes of them at all, but we'll talk a little bit about it. And I'm also doing a non-spoiler review of Blue Beetle. So is it a see it, stream it, or skip it? We'll tell you guys today. And then also in the Figures Talk segment, there was a lot of craziness that was going on the last couple of days when it comes to the Joker Artisan and then the Anakin Skywalker Artisan figures. So I'll talk to you about what happens and my experience with it, and just in general. And then there's some announcements about the SANDTROOPER Sergeant and DEWBACK hot toy figure that was announced yesterday as well, or it's Friday, I should say. And then of course we're always doing this giveaway. So this Barbie giveaway, the Western Barbie 1447 Funko, is still open. So if you're not subscribed to the channel or you're not following the Instagram page at the Movie Canon, so go ahead and do that for your chance to win this. All the details are on my Instagram page, so go there for those details. And I do have another Barbie themed Funko giveaway that I'm going to announce towards the end of the stream, so definitely stick around for that. So that's it for this. So let's go and begin by, let me actually try to do something real quick here again. Hold on a second. So we got some dead air. Okay. Hold on just a moment. I'm always trying to add music in the background here. This system really is starting to piss me off because it plays whenever it wants to. It starts playing out of nowhere, or it just stops, or I click for it to play and it doesn't do anything, and that kind of annoys me. And I'm trying to play something in the background. So hold on a second here. Well, I'll try to do that again. Okay, so I'm going to start over again, see if it actually starts playing. And then last time there was an issue with the mic, but I think I fixed the mic issue. I don't think there's any issue. Anyone who is actually watching right now live, let me know if there's any issue with the sound with the mic. I can tell that there's no music still playing for some dumbass reason. Okay, so I guess we're just going to have to move on without it then. Okay. All right, so let's go and get started with the first thing that I wanted to talk about here today. So we have AHSOKA the series on Disney Plus coming on Wednesday, August 23rd, and they are going to kick off with 2 episodes. This kind of what they did with I think it was with Andor and Obi-Wan. Yeah. So Disney has been doing that pattern, releasing more than one at first, a couple episodes first. I guess we can get a little bit of taste of what the show is going to be like. And they just dropped 2 episodes. So AHSOKA, starring Rosario Dawson, obviously based on the character that we see in Clone Wars. And is she in Rebels?
Yes.
Okay, so she's in Rebels too. Okay, so I'm not a huge... I'm not that knowledgeable about Clone Wars because I haven't really watched the show. I hated the movie that came out in 2008. So I didn't bother watching the animated show. But Matthew, you have. So you've seen
I sure have.
the show, the Clone Wars and Rebels, right? Both of them.
Yes.
Okay, so based on this Ahsoka series, what are you expecting to see, or what is it that you want to see from this show?
When it comes to like Ahsoka herself, she was a character that used to have like basically like her whole story like just you have to fill in the gaps yourself. But in the past couple years, like we've gotten all that dead space of that character filled in with like the Mandalorian, and then Clone Wars season 7, which came out like 2 years ago. So when it comes to her herself, it's like there's not much that I'm really expecting.
Okay.
But when it comes to like stuff she's been in, like Rebels, I think that's where they have the majority of holes to fill, like what happened to Ezra and Thrawn, which are both coming back in this. So I'm interested to see how they explain their coming backness.
Yes, I always heard about Thrawn. Uh, I've seen him, images, pictures, things like that, and supposedly he used to be like a really good villain. And I think based on the books, apparently he's not really that much of a villain, or I don't know. There's something a little different with between the books and the actual how they showed him in. It would have been in Rebels, right?
Yeah.
Because he's not in the Clone Wars.
No.
Okay, so I'm interested. I'm interested to see this character because he looks cool. Just the look of him, he looks cool, and the actor that they got to play the character, he's. I think he was in House of Cards. I think he played Vladimir Putin, or the version of Vladimir Putin. Not exactly him, but like a version of him. So he's playing this character. So I'm curious to see how it is. It's Star Wars, those lightsabers. I did like Ahsoka in Mandalorian season 2. So they introduced him in the, I think it was the Jedi episode.
Yes.
So she was cool at it. That episode was really, really, really good. So I've been interested in the characters. I'm interested in the show. I'm not as invested in the character because, like I said, I haven't seen the Clone Wars or Rebels. But it should be interesting. So it's coming on Wednesday. And just to give you guys some information here, if you guys don't already have it, so there is a schedule for it, right? So the schedule that we have here. So obviously, like I mentioned, we have the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka is coming on Wednesday, just like they did with Andor and how they did with Obi-Wan. The rest of the episodes, episode 3, comes on August 30th. Episode 4 on September 6th, Episode 5 on September 13th, Episode 6 on September 20th, Episode 7 on September 27th, and then the finale is going to be on Wednesday, October 4th. So we're having 8 episodes of Ahsoka. So we'll see how the show is going to be, because ultimately I didn't hate Mandalorian season 3, but it's definitely the weakest season by far.
Yep.
The fact that we had what's her name, Lizzo, the one that's having some allegations right now. Lizzo, she's in this Star Wars show. She's in an episode, and that took me completely out of it. So Jack Black is in it, and I like Jack Black in general. I don't know if he fits in Star Wars, but he was in Mandalorian season 3. And there was just some other shit that's going on in Mandalorian season 3 that just didn't make much sense. But ultimately, it was fine. It's definitely the weaker ones. Obi-Wan, why ultimately I thought it was fine. There was a lot of disappointing things with that show. And Book of Boba Fett has even more disappointing things going on with it. Andor, though. Andor I did like. And I think a lot of people did like Andor. It is a slower show. I would go as far as saying that it's more like it's more adult oriented. Not that there's like nudity or things like that, but it's just more for adults. Like there's more politics going on. There's more dialogue. There's more stuff going on with Andor. So I don't know if this is going to be like this. I doubt it. I think they may want to go with how Mandalorian was. Maybe seasons 1 and 2. And we'll see how Ahsoka is going to turn out so far. Do you think you'll probably enjoy this, Matthew? Or what are your thoughts on, or what are your thoughts about your anticipation level for this one specifically, for Ahsoka?
The trailer looked cool. I think I'll probably enjoy it.
Yes.
More than likely.
Yeah, so it's coming up on Wednesday, August 23rd. So they're gonna go ahead and premiere that 2 episodes. So that's 2 episodes there. Okay, so let's see here. So let's move on to the next topic that I have here for today, and actually it's going to be the non-spoiler review of Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle. So it just came out in theaters this Friday. So and then you got a chance to watch this too, Matthew.
I sure did.
So let me just put this real quick here. Okay, so this movie came out just recently, and at first, Warner Brothers was going to release it into, or drop it into Max, or HBO Max, or whatever it's called now, Max. They're going to drop it out there, and it was not going to be in theaters. They decided they're going to drop it, actually release it in theaters. So that's what they did. So now it's out now. And I mean, ultimately, it was getting some decent reviews, some pretty good reviews. And the review that I'm gonna do here, it's like I said, it's a non-spoiler thing. So I always do, the positives, and then I do the negatives and so forth. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna do the positives first of the movie, and then I'll send it over to Matthew to whatever positives he has, and then I'll move on to the negatives, and then we'll go back to Matthew and so forth, and then we'll get the final grade of the movie here. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so the first positive thing that I'm going to talk about here, which is something that's been a bit of a pattern. So we have the lead, so Zolo Maridueña, who is in Cobra Kai, as the lead. So he was never an issue for me. I bought into the idea that he is Jaime Reyes, and I think that casting directors and filmmakers overall have been good when it comes to casting their leads. And Maridueña, Zolo from Cobra Kai works here, so he was perfectly fine as the lead character. I completely bought into everything, so he was good. And as mentioned before, the casting directors casting these lead actors for these lead characters have been doing well. Like they cast Robert Pattinson as Batman. That's an example that's kind of like out of left field, right? So like you wouldn't expect Robert Pattinson, and I liked him as Batman. A lot of people do like him as Batman, and this character here, this actor fits because the actors or the character's background and then his background, so it just fits, right? So it's a positive thing for me. So we got that there. Another positive thing here that I'll include here is the family. Okay, now the family is a positive, but it's also a negative. Then I'll get into that in just a bit, but I'm just gonna mention this. So the dynamic between the lead character, Jaime Reyes, and the rest of the family are definitely its stronger suits, or these are the stronger elements of the movie. Even though some of the negative elements in the film also come from the family, or specifically some of the family scenes. And I'm going to go into this whole thing, so just bear with me here. So as myself, a Mexican American, I appreciated many of the references presented in this movie. There were references that, brought me back to like my childhood. Like there's some music and even some TV shows that are presented here in like an Easter eggs. That's kind of brought me back to the 90s and stuff like that. And I think for a lot of like Hispanics growing up during that time in the 90s, 80s, and so forth. Now, the director of the film, his name is Angel Manuel Soto. Now, he's not Mexican, but he comes from, Puerto Rican roots. And he showed certain aspects of growing up as a, Hispanic Latino in the U.S. Going back to the whole family stuff. So some of the characters in the family reminded me of either family members of mine or of people that I have met and interacted with in the past. So the film definitely worked when it comes to establishing this Hispanic Latino culture in America. And some of the actors portraying the family, whom I recognize, were actors like Damien Alcazar. So he played the dad. in Blue Beetle. He was in a couple of seasons of Narcos. So that's where I recognize him. And then Adriana Barraza, she was in Babel, the movie that came out in 2006, which got her an Oscar nomination. And that movie actually got a lot of Oscar nominations and so forth, like Best Picture and everything. It stars Brad Pitt, Kate Blanchett, so it's like a huge cast. And she was in this, who plays the grandma. So she got an Oscar nominated. She got an Oscar nomination for that movie, for Babel. So that's some of the positive things when it comes to the family. Now, another thing here, which is still connected to the family, is let's get the George Lopez thing out of the way here. So, like, overall, he had many decent moments of comic relief, as you would expect in anything, because he's a comic. We all know him as a comedian and things like that. So, he's definitely the comic relief in this. He definitely felt like a supporting character, though, because considering that George Lopez was the most recognizable name of the family members, I was hoping it wouldn't turn into like a George Lopez show, like a George Lopez movie, because he's the most recognizable name of the supporting family characters. So I'm glad that he wasn't like, obviously you recognize him right away, but he didn't like stand out like, it's George Lopez in a Blue Beetle movie or whatever. It's still focused on the lead, which is Zolo Maridueña's character. Although not all of his jokes landed, though. But that's kind of overall, though, throughout the whole movie, that some of the jokes just didn't land. So that's a positive there. So before we get into the negatives, Matthew, do you have any positives yourself that you wanted to add today?
My only positive that you didn't really mention was I like the action a lot in this movie. I feel like it was very creative at times, and I think someone said that like this is how Green Lantern should have fought in that one movie that we don't talk about. But yeah, I did like the action a lot. And
are you talking about the Green Lantern
yeah.
with Ryan Reynolds?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the action was just very enjoyable, and especially towards the end when he like, yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, some of the action stuff, like the whole thing with the bus, that was kind of different. That was a little different. I mean, we see it in the trailers, so it wasn't like. I think it would have been more of a shocking thing or more of a surprising thing had we not seen that in the trailer. But with the bus, that he just like stands there and then he kind of like breaks through in the middle of the bus, not affecting anyone else, basically. But so that would have been better if it was not in the trailer. But that's a different thing that they did when it comes to the action and stuff like that. So I'm going to move on to the negatives. So actually there are more negatives than there are positives. So I'll just mention that. Okay, so the first negative thing here I'm going to have to say is surprisingly Susan Sarandon. Now, I know she's a good actress. She's an Oscar winner after all, but her performance in this movie was just terrible. She was bad. Now, you let me know in a little bit, Matthew, if you agree with this or not, but
Maybe.
I don't know if the way her character was written was the reason why she was terrible, or if Susan Sarandon was just phoning it in for the role. If she's just, cashing a paycheck. I mean, obviously all actors are there for a paycheck, but I know some of them are also trying to, establish themselves in Hollywood and so forth. Obviously, she's well established in Hollywood. Like I said, she's an Oscar winner. She's been around for decades. But she was not good in this, and I just don't know if it's the way it was written or is just she just didn't care that much. I would go as far as to say that she is one of the, if not the worst thing of the movie. That's how far I would go with that. I would go when it comes to, he's kind of like the henchman. This is a character that you see here on screen. He was the better villain, in my opinion. And while he was supposed to be like the muscle, his overall development was better and more interesting than Susan Sarandon's character. Because her development, her reason for doing things is typical. It's the shit that we've seen before. His character was more interesting than Sarandon's, like I said. And this character is played by Raúl Trujillo. He was also the main villain or the main antagonist in Mel Gibson's Apocalypto. And don't get me wrong, he wasn't like a great villain or anything, but he was the better presentation of the antagonist in this movie than Susan Sarandon. So I'll say that. Another negative thing that I would consider this a negative thing is the typical origins. Okay, so the origins of Blue Beetle. So I consider that as a negative because even though this is crucial to the story, right? So the origin of Blue Beetle is crucial. It's necessary. So a lot of people have not seen Blue Beetle, do not know this character. So his origin is something that, you know, we need to see. But his origin is the basic stuff that we've seen before. Is, like I said, it's typical. So those scenes are kind of like, it kind of dragged it down for me because we've kind of seen this and it's very similar to the other origins that we've seen in the past and things like that. So that's why I would say it's kind of a negative, even though it is important that we get an origin about Blue Beetle, a character that is just not, that a lot of people don't know about in general. So I didn't really care for it so much personally. And when it comes to the origin part, the scenes of that is very similar, and it reminded me a lot of the Iron Man scenes, Spider-Man scenes. There was even a scene that reminded me of even Black Panther. So that stuff just kind of like doesn't do it for me, at least not that much to me, anyways. Another thing is, let me try to find this. So we're back here to the family. So I mentioned earlier that the family is, the positives, but also negatives. So this is where we get to this part. So overall, the jokes, or there's a lot of jokes and one-liners here. There's a lot of cheesy and nearly cringe-worthy one-liners that come mainly from the family characters. Now, I get what they're trying to do when it comes to some of these lines, these one-liners that they do, but it just didn't work for me. It just wasn't good. And then there's also another thing about the grandma. Again, I'm not going to get into spoilers here, but I was confused about her background. So when you see the movie, there's something going on with her background that she does certain things that is like, well, how would she know how to do this? Or like, where's that background from? Like, I didn't get like where she got that information from or how she was able to do those certain things, considering of where she's from and then how old she is and the era and things like that. So like I said, I can't get into the details because that'll be more like spoilery territory, but that part I was kind of a little bit confused about. Some of the jokes when it comes to, there was a couple of like lazy toilet humor in this movie.
Agreed.
That is like, that's lazy. That's like lazy writing. Is like, do you really need to add this here? It's like, this is like a top or like a big superhero movie from DC that is like focusing on his Hispanic family, and then you add this toilet humor. It's like, it's not even that funny. Like, maybe little kids will find it funny because it's like easy for like a little kid to laugh at, but there was a couple of them in there that were just kind of dumb, and I didn't like. They don't happen that much, but it happened more than once. So that's definitely a negative for me, anyways. All right, so that was the negatives there. Actually, so I'm actually gonna go back to you, Matthew, when it comes to some of the positive stuff. So what were if you have anything else that's different or positives, or you want to like address yourself that are positives?
Positives? Well, no, not any more positives, honestly.
So nothing more than what I already said.
Yeah.
And then how about negatives?
Well, I'm just gonna add on to what you said about Susan Sarandon. Usually when I watch movies, I don't really see the negatives until after I finish and I come out. But like, as I was walking out, I was just like, damn, she was terrible. Like, especially towards the end, like there were some lines where I was just like, what am I watching right now? But yeah, and then also the corniness, that was also another thing. Like, some parts, some lines that Blue Beetle said were very much like anime protagonists at some points. So yeah.
All right. Any other negatives you wanted to mention?
Um, Not that I can think of. I did overall like enjoy this film more than like other DC movies that I've seen. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna get into right now when it comes to like the overall the overall grade and the overall thoughts about the movie, right? Okay, so we're getting to that level now here. Okay, so with the movie canon, we have the three S's system. See it, stream it, or skip it. So overall, I'll give you guys this. So I personally enjoyed, the references in the movie, like I mentioned earlier, and while it has some similarities we have all seen in superhero films, I did like the movie overall. So overall, I did like the movie. So I would say that it's good. It's not great, but I would say it's good. Um, I mean, like this movie has like in the soundtrack, it has like this very popular '80s band music in the soundtrack, and then it has all of a sudden it has like Vicente Fernandez, uh, Tucanes de Tijuana. They have Selena. I mean, so like it's like all over the place, right? Now, necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying like what superhero movie has these artists in their soundtrack? So that was different. So that was definitely something that was kind of nice and cool to see that they've added this in this Hispanic led cast here overall. Um, but overall, Blue Beetle is a good movie. I'll say it's a see it. So that'll be my overall thoughts of Blue Beetle. And as you can see here, I mean, you can't see my face now because now I'm being blocked by the grade, and then you can barely see Matthew. But so mine is a see it, a grade B. And then Matthew, can you see yours right there? And then you mentioned it earlier, or you
it's
told me about it earlier.
also see it grade B.
So we actually got the same grades. So grade B. Matthew doesn't know what my grade ever is until I
Nope.
announce it here, but that was his, and it was like, oh, just like mine. So it is a see it. I'll say grade B for a Blue Beetle, the first Hispanic led superhero movie, with a big studio like DC. Now, how's it gonna do at the box office? I don't know, because I know there's a lot of people who are not really trying to go into watching any DC stuff anymore because we don't know what's gonna happen with DC, right? So they're kind of rebooting it. They're kind of not. So just based on what we see here in this movie, Blue Beetle, it's not connected to anything specific. Like it could stand on its own, right? So it's its own movie. It could either be part of the rebooted universe, or it could also not be part of those rebooted universe. So while stands on its own, there's nothing in there that pops up in there that'll be like, oh, but that's what about what happened last, or what about something in the future. There's nothing in there, so this could still be part of the new DC universe, the way that from what we've seen. I don't know if they like cut out stuff to make it so, but this franchise for Blue Beetle, he could be in the new DC or not. So that was just a little thought there. And then also when it comes to the credit scenes, the mid and post credit scene. So there is a mid and there is a post credit scene. The post credit scene is not important and it's kind of lame, but the mid credit scene is kind of important to the story. So just so you guys know. So that was Blue Beetle. All right. Any other final thoughts on Blue Beetle, Matthew, before we move on to the next segment?
No, I think I covered everything. It was cool. It was fun.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next segment. Now, this is the Figures Talk segment. As I mentioned this before, in the last few months or so, I added a Figures Talk segment, which is talk about like Hot Toys, 1/6 scale figures, and so forth. And a lot of these are related or connected to movies, TV shows, characters from those type of movies or TV shows or whatever. So that's why I added this, and I'm gonna go and begin with this one right here. So we have the Joker Artisan 1/6 scale figure from Hot Toys. So this was announced like a few weeks ago, maybe like 3 weeks ago. So it was announced, and the difference here is that the rooted hair. So they've announced, or they've had this figure before. Hot Toys had a Heath Ledger Joker in the past. I think they released one like in 2012. I'm not entirely sure when, but it's been a while. So they announced this one here. Now, some of them would say that it's a response to InArt, which is another manufacturing company that makes 6 scale figures. So they made a Joker with rooted hair, and it's I think it's a 2-pack. It comes with 2 Jokers and has like a little bit of diorama and things like that. And it's like, I think it's like $1,100 or $1,000 or something like that for that one. So a lot of people been getting him, and they've been enjoying this figure. So Hot Toys announced this one here, their version, their rooted hair version of the Joker from The Dark Knight. It is also the 15-year anniversary of the movie. I don't know if that has anything to do with that, but it did come out during that time, 15 years ago, or the anniversary of the 15th anniversary of the movie. So they released this, or they announced this, and it's limited. So as you can see here, it's only it says 4,000. So this is from Sideshow's website. So I always go based on Sideshow because, like I mentioned earlier, Sideshow is the bigger manufacturer in the U.S. So they have this announcement here. Now, the limited edition, the one that says 4,000, from my understanding, it's supposed to be worldwide. So I don't know how many Sideshow got. Maybe they got 2,000 or whatever, or maybe 1,500. We don't really know exactly, but the 4,000 is supposed to be worldwide. So it's very limited. And this is the Artisan edition of Heath Ledger Joker. So what I'm going to mention here is, so a lot of people really wanted a Joker and Anakin, which I'll get back to Anakin in just a bit. But these are the 2 characters that a lot of people were trying to get. So they announced it, like I said, a few weeks ago, and then like a week ago or so, or maybe like 10 days ago or so, Sideshow finally notified us about the dates. So when these will go up for pre-order. So there was a lot of question as to, okay, so how is this going to work? Because a lot of people want this. It's very limited. So what I'm going to tell you guys right now, and I am going to cut this out into a segment on its own. I'm going to tell you how my experience was with these figures, with Joker and Anakin. Okay, so what I'm going to tell you is not necessarily the way that you'll be able to get them, because I was able to secure both Joker and Anakin Artisan rooted hair. And like I said, a lot of people were trying to get them. Some people were upset that they weren't able to get either of them, or specifically Anakin, which I'll get into in just a bit here. But I'm just going to give you my experience as to what I did, and then maybe you can apply it for a later thing. I'm sure Hot Toys is going to do another Artisan rooted hair, some kind of big character soon, because this was too much of a success for them to not do it again. So I'm sure this will happen fairly soon again. Who knows what character it is, but they'll do that again. Okay, so all right, so here's a little bit of background here. So I just started collecting this year, so I don't have all this experience when it comes to collecting, or even that much experience when it comes to Sideshow. So I did look into like other YouTubers that have more experience, have been collecting for a long period of time, to get some pointers or whatever. And some of them were like Brother Cousins, who I watch on his channel, and he gave us a little bit of pointers and stuff like that as to what you should do before you actually try to order a piece like this that's very limited. And then I did this, and then also on the day of the pre-order date and time, I also watched another YouTuber who was streaming his experience live as well. and that I think that kind of helped too because I could see the other people that were trying to get the figure at the same time because this YouTuber was streaming it as well, and then he had a lot of people who were watching him, and they were putting, making comments and things like that, like, oh, I'm on the site, or it's crashing, or just some updates that other people are seeing that I might not be seeing in mine. So I'm glad that this YouTuber did this. It's Will Foxification. So thanks for doing that, because I think that helped a lot of us and stuff like that. So what I did is okay. So for the Joker one, they did this on Thursday. They said Sideshow said, okay, so it's gonna be at the specific time, 9 a.m. Pacific time or 12 Eastern. So that's the time that they're going to open the pre-order for Joker Artisan hot toy. So okay, so based on the information that I gathered from the other YouTuber, like Brother Cousins and stuff like that, and based on that, I saw that Will Foxification was streaming it live, and then based on my information, when it comes to me trying to get like my experience when it comes to trying to get something that's hard to get will be like movie tickets. Like when Star Wars first came out, or the Force Awakens first came out, and then Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker or whatever. So when those tickets went on sale, so I got that experience of how that was. I guess more recently would have been when I was trying to get tickets for Spider-Man No Way Home. So that was another thing that I was trying to get. So I got a little bit of experience with that when it comes to sites possibly crashing or whatever. So, and I was able to get we were doing the private screening for Spider-Man No Way Home, and I was able to get them opening day. So I got that experience too. So on the day of this, I knew what time it was going to be for this Joker. And so what I did is, okay, so I'm just going to use the information, which is, so you log in into your account in Sideshow. So I'll already be logged in, because when this goes live, then it'll, and then you're about to pay, and then you actually still need to log in. That's probably going to kick you out. So I was already logged in. So then I logged in, and then I actually went on the site, on the page that would be, it would be the link of the actual figures. So they have, Sideshow has the coming soon page, and then it has, okay, so you go in there, you click on it. Like for example, for the Joker one, they had the coming soon section, and there was a Joker one, so I clicked on it, and it just says, the pre-order will be at this date, this time, RSVP. So that was the other thing you needed to do too, is RSVP. So whenever you're trying to get something on Sideshow that is limited or is like very hard to get, and it tells you there to RSVP, definitely do that. Now supposedly they have it so that you can be notified through email, and then that's part of the reason why you RSVP, because you're one of the people that are going to get an email. But don't ever rely on that, because the email that I got for Joker was like around 8 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock at night. That's when I got the email. And then the pre-order went up at 9 o'clock in the morning. So that was like almost 10, 11 hours after that I got the email. So don't rely on that, but RSVP, because if you actually get the opportunity to get in there and try to order whatever it is, you have to be, most likely would have to be in the RSVP list. So then that was the thing. So I was on that page, and then I got into that page right away. I got into the page like maybe like 45 minutes early, or maybe like an hour early. Like I was just on the page already, just cause I was just like, I need to go there anyway, so I'll just be there now. And Sideshow did mention something like that once it goes up for pre-order, it's going to be random. So even if you show up super early, it's not gonna matter. And so okay, but I mean, I still went on there. I just wanted to be there already. I don't want to have to be like thumbling around and try to find the link and trying to find the page. It was like I was already there. It's like 45 minutes early, so it was like around 8:15 or whatever for the Joker one. So I was already there, and there was nothing different. It just said the same thing, that I'm on the list, whatever. So then I got into the stream that Will Foxification put, and then I was just following it along or whatever, listening in while I was doing some other stuff. And then all of a sudden I see the page changed. So it changed to there was like a countdown. Like things said like 18 minutes. I think it was like 18 minutes before the time, which was 9 o'clock. So it was like around like 8:42 in the morning or whatever. So I saw that in there, and there was a countdown. I was okay. So that's the page. So I'll just stay there, whatever. And I didn't do anything else. I didn't move anything. I didn't refresh the page. I just left it as it is, with no issues whatsoever. And then it got to the 9 o'clock, and then it put me into the queue. So I was already in the queue. Now, the way that Sideshow was doing is, since it's random or whatever, so they're going to assign you a number of whatever it was. For the Joker one, I got selected or assigned. It was like 1745 or something like that. So basically there was 1,700 people ahead of me that are in the queue to be able to order the figure. So they had 4,000, and I believe, like I said, it's worldwide. So I'm guessing actually, yeah, it is 1,700. So it was 1,700. So I'm guessing Sideshow maybe had like half. Sideshow probably have like 2,000. They probably have like 2,000 figures. So I was assigned like 1,700 or so. So then I saw it moving down. I was getting like down to 1,600 and then 1,500 or whatever. And I was okay, well, maybe I'll be able to get them. And initially I was just going to try to get the sculpted hair version because I figured it would be more accessible, and it is. It was more accessible than the rooted hair, and it'll probably be cheaper and whatever. So I was just trying to get that one, but then I saw that the number was getting lower and lower and lower, and I was like down to like 1,000, and then like 400, and then these numbers went down kind of quickly. So I don't know if people were just got into the page and they just decided not to even do anything and not order anything. I'm not sure what happened, but it did go down significantly. That at one point I was like 1,500, and then it jumped to like 1,000, or jumped down to like 1,000. So that's kind of what was going on there. And then finally got to the page, and then it showed the pre-order page. If I wanted the sculpted hair Joker or the artisan Joker. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm already here, and it's actually available for me. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to pre-order then. So then I just pre-ordered it, clicked it, and I got it. And then the other thing that I've heard in the past is when it comes to some of these artisan ones, what happens in the past sometimes, because I know some other people were trying to do this for other figures, that even if you put it in the cart, that it might still kick you out, or even if you got charged, it might still mean that you still didn't get it. Because I know there was another YouTuber that I would watch that was trying to get that WB 100 Wonder Woman for a few months ago, and they got charged like 3 times, and they still didn't get it. Some kind of a glitch or an error or whatever. So even after this, I thought that maybe I still didn't get it. But that didn't end up happening, so I did end up getting him. So I got the Joker Artisan. And then it sold out. So this figure sold out like within maybe like 30 minutes. Like around 30 minutes it sold out. And then later on throughout the day, like later in the day, I saw that there were people already selling this version of the Joker for $1,000. Like they were already selling him on eBay. So people were trying to like charge a lot more for the figure already. Although this figure doesn't even come out till July of next year through December of 2024. But for some reason they were trying to sell it on eBay. I don't know how that works, but that's what happened with the Joker one. For the Anakin one, the Anakin I knew was going to be a little more crazy, because going back to the Joker one real quick here again, a lot of people already have the in-art Joker with the rooted hair. A lot of people already have this Joker, and a lot of people already spent a lot of money for that in-art Joker. So that's definitely eliminated a certain group of collectors who wanted this Joker. And then this one also had the other version of the sculpted hair Joker. So there was more options for the Joker one, and there was more too. There's 4,000 overall. But the Anakin, ANART doesn't have the license for Star Wars, so they don't have a rooted hair Anakin or rooted hair any Star Wars figure. So that in itself is going to limit it even more, or is going to be even more desirable. So then we have the 3,000. So we have 3,000 worldwide. If I'm understanding, this is 3,000 worldwide. So that means Sideshow probably has maybe half of it, 1,500 maybe. So that's gonna make it even more limited. Also, Hot Toys does not or did not give you the option of a sculpted hair Anakin Skywalker, unlike the Joker one that there is an option. And I think you can probably still pre-order the sculpted hair Joker, but Anakin doesn't have that. There's no option of the sculpted hair for this Anakin, so that's limited even more. So I did the same thing that I did last time. I was expecting it to have been more crazy because I knew this information when it came to the Anakin. So I was expecting it to be a little bit more insane. So then I did the same thing. I got onto the websites like an hour early. I was already logged in. I had already RSVP'd like weeks ago. So that stuff is done. Except with this one, I actually did this with I logged into my phone. I logged into my laptop using 2 different browsers. So we have the Safari, and then the Google Chrome. So that's Safari on my laptop and Safari on my phone, and then Google Chrome on my laptop. So I had 3 that I had open the link. That was the link for this Anakin. So same thing. I went to the RSVP page in the coming soon section, clicked on the figure. It says coming soon, or it's gonna go to pre-order August 18th, 9:00 in the morning. So that's the link. So that's the link that I went to. I didn't wait for the email or anything like that. I just went directly to the site and clicked the link to that, the page that I had RSVP'd for weeks ago. So I was there. Same thing. Foxification went in there. The YouTuber went in there. People were talking in there and doing the whole thing all over again. And so same thing. Then I saw the page change. So the page changed, and then there was a countdown there too. It'll begin at certain amount of minutes or whatever. So then that happened. And then when it actually got to the time, the 9:00, so then it was going to, again, randomly is going to assign me a number for the queue. So then for this one, my number was like 1,100. So again, 3,000 worldwide. I think Sideshow maybe had 1,500. So I got assigned like 1,100. But the other 2 browsers that I was using, the Google Chrome was the one that gave me the 1,100. But the other ones they had, one of them was like 3,800, and then the other one was like 2,500. From what I end up hearing later is that some people were in the queue and it said over 10,000 ahead of them. So I got 1,100 with that one Google browser. I didn't touch anything. I didn't move anything. I left it as it is until I got the page that said you can pre-order this. But even before that, there was a lot of things going on with the page that it would say line paused. So they would pause the line. No idea why, but it would say the line is paused right now. So you couldn't do anything anyways. So, okay. And then it said it'll start again at 9:15 in the morning. And then they actually reopened it again like at 9:08, 9:09 or something. And then it started over again. So my name or my number didn't change. It remained the same. It was around 1,100 or so. But then I started seeing going down to 1,000 and then 980 and whatever. All the way to 500 and then all the way back to where I was able to pre-order. And then I saw it there and it let me pre-order it. So then I pre-ordered the Anakin Artisan rooted hair. There was some people that said that at the page itself says something that you're trying to get Anakin, click here. And I guess a lot of people clicked it and then it sent them to the queue again, but now they were even further away. It went down to like 5,000 for them, even though they were like actually closer. but because they clicked that link that popped up, I didn't even see it. And I don't think I would have clicked it because I was just going to leave it as it is. So once you're there, just leave it alone. Don't refresh. Just leave it alone. That's what I did. I just didn't touch anything. And then I was finally able to get it. But yeah, some people were definitely really upset about it. They were kicked out. Some people were like, what I heard is that they were like at 800 ahead of them. So even closer than I was. And then they were clicked out. They were kicked out all the way back to like 5,000, 6,000 or whatever. So that was my experience with this craziness when it comes to these particular figures, the Joker and Anakin Skywalker, artisan figure, rooted hairs. So I was able to secure both of these. So that was just my experience. So that's something that you can watch later on, because I'm sure they're gonna do another one of these artisan limited ones. I don't know when or which character, but I'm sure they're gonna do another one. But that's what I did. So that's just something that you can look into if you would like. So that was it with these two. Now I do have a few other things, and then Matthew, I'm gonna go into the other section here for this figures talk. And they also announced the Sandtrooper Sergeant and DEWBACK from Star Wars Episode 4, the original, A New Hope. So they announced this. And what are your thoughts on this, Matthew? Because I don't know if you've seen this before.
May I first ask, how much is it?
This one right here?
Yes.
Okay, I'll get into that in a bit. But just in general, what are your thoughts on this?
Usually I'm not a fan of these kind of hot toys where it's like no-name character with some random animal, which I've seen a lot in Star Wars. Because I don't, especially at this price range, I think it's too expensive where the average or even like the above average consumer would like spend that much on something like this.
A Sandtrooper Sergeant and DEWBACK. So this is the they sell it separately, right? You can either buy it together or separately. So they have this Sergeant Trooper or Sandtrooper from Star Wars, the original. And then they have the DEWBACK by itself. I have Christina saying hi, everyone. So hello there, Christina, in the comment section there, or the live comment section. So going back here, so we have the Sandtrooper here by itself, the DEWBACK by himself, and then they have the set. Now the set comes with one Trooper and one DEWBACK, not two. Another picture showing two, but it's one, and then one DEWBACK. Then when it comes to the price, because I know you mentioned this, Matthew. So here's the price. Now this is on Sideshow. Like I said, I always refer to Sideshow because it's the ones that I rely on. So if you just want the Sandtrooper by itself, just one, and like I said, it shows two, but just one is $255. Expected to ship to July to December of 2024. Then they have this DEWBACK. And the price for that, now there's two different prices for this, because we have the $455, which again is expected to ship between July and December of 2024. $455, but they also have this right here. This is just the DEWBACK by itself, $485. This is the deluxe DEWBACK. Now the difference is, I think you can interchange the leg, one of the legs, and the mouth. So the one that you see with the closed mouth, I guess that's an option that you can have. And then the leg, one of them you see is standing and the other one is like lifting the leg a little bit. So that's the difference, that you can have, I guess, both legs and then both mouths for $485. But if you want both the DEWBACK and the Sandtrooper, one Sandtrooper, it's $700. Expected to ship between July and December of 2024. So your thoughts on this, Matthew? Will you pay $700 for a Trooper and DEWBACK?
Hell no.
How about just a individual Sandtrooper for $255?
Still probably no.
Even though he looks like there's a bunch of like dust or like sand. Like he looks like he's been out in the storms, and the sandstorms, I should say, of Tatooine, things like that.
Nope. Like 255. There's like so many other Hot Toys you could buy for that
And
price.
and this is kind of like considered like to be kind of like a vehicle, the DEWBACK, because it's like the price of a vehicle. I'm sure it's huge, so it's like a vehicle. It's like getting a Batmobile or the what do you call it, the DeLorean or whatever from Back to the Future. So it is kind of like a vehicle. So we have that. Now here's the image of what it comes with. Again, the Sandtrooper Sergeant and DEWBACK. And I know a lot of people are excited about this, especially some of the older collectors, that grew up in the 80s and stuff like that, are really enjoying this. I mean, this will look cool. The Stormtroopers or the Sandtroopers and the DEWBACK, I mean, I'm not going to get this because, like you said, Matthew, I would rather get something else
Yeah.
for this kind of money, $700. I do want a Stormtrooper of some sorts eventually, but not necessarily this one at $255, because there's a shitload of Stormtroopers versions, within the Star Wars universe and 6 scale Hot Toys and whatnot. So yeah, so I won't be getting this, but that's the latest news when it comes to that. And then the other thing here is they did announce Black Panther, as actually the release. So this is not an announcement; it's an actual release. So this one was already announced. I don't know how long ago, but it's available for release now. So it's about to be shipped to the people who pre-ordered him. So this is Black Panther, and I'm not sure if this is. It looks like it might be from based on the logo. It looks like it's from
First
the
one?
from the movie, from the first film. But then I heard that there's some stuff, accessories in this that is actually from Civil War. So I'm not entirely sure if that's what that's from, but I don't really have that many Marvel characters or that I've pre-ordered or that I really have. Black Panther is not one that I would necessarily get, but this is the one that just recently came out. So I'm trying to find something here. Trying to find this one. Hold on a sec here. Actually, let me just go to the other page here. Hold on a sec. Okay, so let me just double check on something and make sure that the internet's actually working. I'm just gonna make sure that I'm actually still online here. So let me just check that real quick. So some dead air. Okay, so yeah, Matthew, so you say you're not really interested in this, right?
No, not really. I mean, it does look cool.
Okay, so it looks like you can kind of see. Okay, this is what I need to do. Okay, there you go. That's the better one here. Okay, so these are some of the images that it comes with. So this is the one that was just released. And yeah, it says the Black Panther looks like it's from the first movie. It's a 6 scale collectible figure, and it's in the picture. There's him on the throne, T'Challa, and then he's wearing the outfits. He's wearing the mask for this one. Apparently, this one was not actually. Some of the other figures of Black Panther, from my understanding, didn't have this. Didn't have the mask,
That's
or
the
like
mask.
this version of the mask that you see right here in this image. But how about the likeness? Do you like? Does it look like Chadwick Boseman to you?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does a good job.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I know some people were complaining about the likeness. I don't think it's bad actually. He does kind of look like Chadwick Boseman.
What I'm noticing is that is the Civil War suit. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think maybe that's what it is. Maybe the suit is from Civil War and not Black Panther, the original movie, because I think there's another figure that's came out a while ago, but I'm not 100% sure.
I mean,
But
I do prefer the Civil War suit over the first movie suits.
so you prefer this one right here?
Yes.
Not necessarily that you're gonna get it, but
No.
you would prefer if you were gonna get a
Yeah.
Black Panther one. This is the one that you would get. Okay. And then it has like the ceremonial shield or whatever. So I think the other ones didn't have that, but this one does. So yeah, so this one's been released, and I don't know when they announced it. I don't know how long they took, but it's going to be released. People who already pre-ordered it is about to get to their homes. Okay, so that was it for this one here. All right, so let me see if there's anything else I wanted to bring up. Okay, so so that was the Black Panther, like I mentioned, the Hot Toys 1 scale figure. So I think that's it for the figure stock. So Matthew, is there anything else you wanted to bring up today some of the segments that we talked about? Anything you want to add today?
No, I think we covered some good ground in this.
So what I'm going to do now is, again, this Barbie Funko giveaway, the Western Barbie, is still open. So go to my page, Instagram, and to get the details as to how you can get this, how you can enter. And then obviously, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, for future content and future giveaways. So this one right here, the Barbie, is still open. It was activated, so I got the minimum entries for this because I need to have minimum number of entries to actually officially activate it and give this away. Because if I don't have enough entries, then obviously there's not enough interest, and so I need to have like at least 35, and I already got the 35 for this. So this one is for sure going to be given out. So this is one, and there's a new one that I have that I'm announcing today, very Barbie themed. So this is a new giveaway that is opening, and this is the Ken, the Western Ken. So are you enough for this giveaway Funko from the movie Canon? So subscribe to the channel. I'll give you guys more details about how to enter for Ken, but this one will be opening within the next 24 hours. Same thing, 35 minimum entries. Must be a subscriber to the YouTube channel or follower of the Instagram page. Must have a mailing address within the United States. But this is the new one that was announced. Now, the Barbie Funko giveaway, I'll probably announce the winner within the next couple of weeks or so. The Ken, if I get the 35 minimum entries, I'm thinking that I might give this one away or select the winner in a live stream. Meaning you would have to actually be watching live to be able to win the Ken. And everything else will still apply, though. Still must be a subscriber and must have an address within the U.S. All that still would apply. But I'm thinking I might do that for the Ken. So, I mean, it is possible if you're lucky enough that you can get both. The couple, Barbie and Ken. If you're lucky enough, you could be the winner of both of these. But that's so this one, the newest one that I was going to announce here. So there you go. So that was the new announcement there, and I believe that's all I have here for today, everyone. So let me see if this camera. Oh, this camera already died. Okay, so let me go back here. Oh, damn, this is taking forever to go back. Okay, so that's it, everyone. So that was the latest episode of the Met Report. Thank you so much for watching this latest episode. Thank you for watching it live. If you watch it after the fact, so thank you for that too. I'll be cutting out some of these segments and so forth, so you can watch them individually if you're only interested in some of the topics and not all of them. So that'll conclude today's Met Report episode. Matthew, thanks so much for joining me today and returning to the Movie Canon YouTube channel after your absence for a couple of months. And so subscribe, everyone, to the channel, and then enter for the giveaways if you want to try to win those. And then I'll see you guys next time.